Alright, it worked. Hey, maybe I just had to press the button. You know, this remote I just got, can you see it? There it is. Maybe I just had to keep pressing it, you know, so many times so the button wouldn't get stuck anymore, because I had to press that thing so many times to even get the video to start. But now, hey, we're getting somewhere, right? Just takes a little bit of time. That kind of goes with the message today, guys. So for my Aries or Aries cross watcher, you could be anybody watching this. You don't have to be an Aries. This is perfect timing. It's my first video for the day. And listen, I don't know if you can hear it right now, but it just started. Not even like 3 minutes ago. Thundering, pouring down rain. It's like a cleanse, like a cleansing of our what? Senses. That's what we're going to talk about right now, is self-mastery and self-mastery over our senses. Many of you have really been focused on self-mastery, developing mastery over your senses, pleasures, desires. These are things that you've been more consciously working hard on because you've begun to see that many times the things that have set you back or gotten in your way are things that spoiled your senses. But oftentimes what gave gratification to the senses or pleasure to the senses was a distraction from our task, our life's tasks. And senses is anything, right? Like it could be your sense of well, taste, right? I mean, I'm just thinking of all the things that's gotten in my own way. I have to use myself as an example. That's what better way to understand others is to use your own examples. And when I would think that I wanted alcohol, I'd be like, oh, I want alcohol, right? That ate me alive. I mean, it created an alcoholic. That's what it did. I had to like retrain my mind. I had to stop seeking pleasure, even though it wasn't pleasurable at all. It was killing me. Initially it was pleasurable, and then what started off as pleasurable became a nightmare. It became a pitfall. So I would give in to my senses. I would give in to my pleasures of smoking cigarettes. I'd be like, oh, I want a cigarette, and I'd go smoke, and then I started getting pleurisy and bronchiectasis and bronchitis, and then I had the lining in my lungs was like real messed up. But what all the things you can imagine, started getting that, started having problems, started having more issues with asthma. I never had issues with asthma before. So, and this can go in any way. The food one I'm still working on, but anytime I'm like, oh, I want this, and then I'll just eat it, or I'll get it, or I'll drink it, you know, whatever it is. Maybe your sense of touch, it's like, oh, I want to be loved, and I want to be touched, and I want to be, you know. So we want this pleasure, and we'll do what we have to get this pleasure, but maybe it's actually getting in our way. Now, this is not for everything, and it's not in every scenario, but this is what we're talking about today. Is whoever's watching this video, you've been working really hard on mastering control over your senses instead of letting your senses control you. You've not been spoiling your senses by giving them every little pleasure. I mean, now I'm not talking about in moderation, but let's say you went to a specific fast food chain daily. One that when you say thank you, they say my pleasure. You know which one I'm talking about? Okay. Let's say you went every single day to this fast food chain and you got 3 ice creams and that frozen lemonade and a brownie or something. But let's say your senses is what's answering you. The one saying my pleasure. It's your senses talking back, not the person on the screen or the person standing outside taking your order. Okay? Let's say it's your senses, your sense of taste. But your sense of taste, you hear the thunder, answers back honestly this time and says, my displeasure. You gonna keep doing it? What if your senses told you the truth? What if your senses said, hey, this is actually a setback from where you're going? This is a setback. But sometimes the setbacks really are, and I heard it best, I don't even remember who said it, but something about setbacks or setups. Let's see. They set you up for the future. If we see them, otherwise they can destroy us. Setbacks are opportunities for growth and improvement and can lead to a comeback. And that's what I'm talking about here. You've stopped, or you've at least had it in your mind that you need to stop spoiling your senses in some area, giving in to what will make you feel good. And some of us, it's toxic fucking relationships. It's toxic friendships. You know, we just don't want to be without. So in order to feel the pleasure of not being alone, we'll settle. We'll go back. We'll revert back into this so that we're not alone. Or, you know, we think we're hungry, or we have this sweet tooth, we call it, and instead of getting something that might be more healthy for us, or drinking some water, maybe we're not as hungry as our brain or our senses is telling us it is, we go eat something that's not really good for us in the long run. And then it's actually like controlling us instead of us controlling ourselves. What if we held back on pleasures to gain self-mastery, or come closer to it at least? This is what you've been doing lately, or again, what you've had in your mind, like, you know what, I need to get more control of myself. I need to master myself. Some of you have been doing this for a while, but it's one foot in front of the other, man. Like I don't think you ever master yourself completely unless you're dead. I mean, how can you? Every day. It's like an everyday thing, and it's like one sense at a time, one desire at a time. And a lot of times you'll see, in fact, I wrote that down. We'll get into that because that's really important here. So a lot of change has occurred for you, or is currently occurring for you. I think it's been occurring, and I feel like it's going to continue to occur, especially if you continue to master yourself, or try mastering yourself, your wants, your pleasures. Lifestyle changes, partnership changes, life path changes, health changes, etc. And you've realized the more you've done without certain things you otherwise would have gotten into or given into, that you've lost interest in them altogether. That's what I was about to talk about. You know, I don't give a shit about alcohol anymore. I don't care about smoking. I don't care about sex. And I don't care about relationships now. Maybe that part, the relationship part, will come back later, but maybe it won't. Like, I just don't, at this point in my journey, I can only speak about right now. I don't know what the future holds, but I could say no all day. I'm not saying no, I'm saying I'm open, but I'm not open to some things. Like, I'm not open to alcohol. I mean, everybody can do their own thing, to each their own, no judgment. But for me personally, I'm not. I know where it led me, and my pleasure takes it all the way. My pleasure is like, go big, go home. My pleasure is an addict. Okay, so my pleasure has to be very careful, because it will allow some of the worst things for me to happen that maybe it was meant for me to kind of experience for a minute to set me up for something where I'm going, but instead I go hard with it. I go all the way in until it sets me back, right? Ultimately seeing it, witnessing it, realizing it, which is then a setup, but it took me a long ass time. I mean, I could have seen it sooner, you know? That's where I'm at. So this is clearing your way. You are removing your own blockages by resisting pleasure. And in doing so, realizing that what once brought you pleasure not only no longer brings you pleasure and satisfaction, but was setting you up for the future. Not to keep feeding the pleasures, but how to learn to master them so they don't control you. Now, wherever you go and whatever you do, you take this fresh perspective with you as you venture onto mastering even more. Certain people have had to go. Certain habits have had to go. Certain beliefs have had to go. Things you consumed, whether that be media, beverage, food, genitalia, I mean, whatever you've consumed, whether it's consuming it in the mind, consuming it in your body, could even be what we've put on our body. I mean, everything's changing. And it's not all at once. Thank God. I think we'd go a little nuts. I think we're already all nuts. But we'd go even more nuts. I mean, we're nuts to be experiencing the human experience. I mean, it's nuts to be here. I say it all the time, but we're all off our rockers to be here. It's crazy to be here. We're all doing it, but man, like, wow, what an interesting thing to be a human. I can't get over it. I think about it often, almost daily. Wow, we're all really doing this, aren't we? And we all know that we actually know that we know nothing. I mean, we may know things inside of the knowing the nothing, but ultimately we end up knowing nothing because, boop, it's gone. Once we're gone, boop, it's gone. Everything we gained, everything we learned, everything we did, bye, gone. I mean, we might pass it down, but what we knew, boop. You may notice even your wants have changed, and that's what we already talked about. What you once desired is a memory. It could even be people. Like it doesn't mean what it used to mean to you anymore, or you have no taste for it anymore at all. Or them. You just have no taste for it. It doesn't mean anything specific other than it just doesn't resonate with you or one of your senses anymore. You've changed. It could even be a career path. I mean, it could be a dream, a goal that you had. You might be realizing like, it's when your senses are telling you the truth this time and saying, remember how we said be careful what you wish for? And it's like, yeah. Well, you wished for that cake for all these years, and now that cake is coming back to haunt you. You wished for that alcohol. You wished for that girl's night out. You wished for all the times that you got inebriated. What have you to say to your liver now? You know? I mean, I'm just talking to myself here, but it's kicking my ass, like in several ways. Right now it's food. But I'm like, well, what do you want me to eat? Everything's poisoned, allegedly. But you know what I'm saying? What do you want me to eat? So there's a little conundrum there. It's not all been easy, but it's been worth it. Or you will see that it is worth it in the long haul, because you're learning to have control over you, not your desires to have each of the senses be pleasured. You're changing what is pleasurable to you. Even if you're not consciously doing it, it's changing. As you gain more, as you resist more of the things that would give you what you think would give you pleasure, you're starting to realize not only are some of these things not even pleasurable anymore, but you don't desire them. You're working on honoring yourself, treating yourself with respect and love, by having discipline and self-control. The key is working on self-mastery. We are nowhere near there, but at least we are working towards it. You're going to be faced with some tough decisions. You already have been, and they will never stop coming. That's the message, guys. That's what I was really picking up on today, is an Aries or cross watcher that in a lot of different areas of their life have been changing and almost like parenting yourself, retraining your mind, rewiring your mind, your wants, your senses, you know, sacrificing pleasure for discomfort, and then ultimately realizing that being able to be in a state of discomfort is actually quite pleasurable, because what we originally thought was pleasurable or satisfactory was harming us in the end. And some of us, it's a way of thinking. I used to think I needed a partner. Again, I'm open, but I think my love in the future would look very different, because it would come from a place of complementary instead of need. You know? Like, I can't do without another partner or another half, and I'm seeking and seeking and searching and searching and searching, and now I'm just like, I don't even really have that desire. Like, I don't have the desire. I don't have the desire for a lot of things that I once desired. It almost feels like a complete other person. And I have a long way to go. I have a long way. Like, I have so many things that I need to continue to discipline myself on and master. So I can't even imagine if I were to, like, allow any more things to set me back right now, because I already am trying to work through the things that I have allowed to set me back, you know, which again ultimately have set me up for success in the long run, but it's been the long way around, you know, which is fine. And in all of this changing and shifting and resisting that I've been doing, working on for like years now, I'm telling you, it's like, it's a long process. It'll probably be the rest of my life. No, it will be. It'll be the rest of my life. I've actually realized things that, or like I gained things that ended up being pleasurable that I didn't realize was pleasurable, right? But I only found things that were truly pleasurable by resisting what I once thought was pleasurable. Like alone time. It's very pleasurable. In moderation. But it's pleasurable to be alone. And I always had to have somebody before. Usually it was a partner. But if not, I always had to be around people. Like, I could never be alone. I find pleasure in it. I find pleasure in sobriety. Again, this is my personal story. This isn't for anybody else. Like the examples I'm giving. What gives you pleasure may be something completely different. But I find pleasure because, like I said, addictive personality here. So it wasn't a pleasure to me ultimately. It was a hindrance. It was holding me back, and I was addicted. It was controlling me. My senses were controlling me. Oh my God, like smoking was really, really hard for me actually. And I mentioned that in a recent video. I think it was on memberships where I said, I don't remember what video it was in actually, but I was one of those people that enjoyed smoking. It was a pleasure for me to smoke. It just didn't agree with my body. It wasn't pleasurable for my body, but I found pleasure in it. It just didn't agree with me. So I had to stop. And it's been more pleasurable to not smoke, but that's just a me story. That's just coming from an I place. And man, it was like really hard for me. And the book that helped me, guys, was called The Easy Way, which was like almost made me angry when I first picked up the book. I was like, the easy way? Ain't nothing easy about quitting something that we find pleasurable, it's, you know, or quitting something, period. You don't know, sometimes the things that you know you need to quit or that you have to quit or else you don't find pleasurable anymore, because it's controlling you. And that's where I got with alcohol. But smoking, aside from getting sick all the time, I liked the idea, like the oral fixation. I guess it's like biting the nails. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, the book. I think it's Alan Carr. It was written by Alan Carr, The Easy Way. Well, if anyone here is interested, again, you don't have to live your life, do what you want to do. You know, you have your own senses to master, and that's personal for you. But I think it's called The Easy Way by Alan Carr, yeah. Once you start reading the book and you realize that he was a smoker too for a really long time and like he knows what he's talking about, then you start, I don't know, it changed my life. Like I haven't smoked since, but it, and I mean, I'm not sponsored, so I don't know, I guess I should say that I'm not sponsored, but I would definitely be a good one to sponsor. Hey, Alan Carr's team, like, no shit, I would be a great one, because I'm living proof. Like, I quit smoking and never smoked again since then. So I believe in the book. I know that it works. But it also took other things as well. It took willpower. I had to be ready. But anyway, as I was reading this book, it was like talking to my senses. Do you know? Like, and it was funny. He even talked to you in the book at certain chapters. He was like, I know you want to go smoke right now. I think it helped me not smoke, because he like understood me. A lot of times it's like, don't do it. He's like, I know you want to. I know you have this urge to just, and it was like he knew. It was like my senses talking to me, and almost like reverse psychologying me or something. But it worked. So yeah, like these are things that in my life I thought brought me pleasure that didn't, you know. Discipline. This message is about disciplining our desires, our senses, and then ultimately them shifting and changing and transforming. And so what we once found desirable, we find easy to resist because it is no longer pleasurable to us. That's what you guys have been working on. So let's say it's a love situation. Someone may want to reconnect. You may not have any desire. Not because you think anything bad of that person. I mean, for some of you, sure, maybe you do. But let's say it's not that. Let's say you just genuinely, you don't resonate with that anymore, that feeling with that person. It's gone. It's completely gone. It's foreign to you. Let's say you walk out of a store and you smell a cigarette, but you're no longer a smoker. It's just an example. It's not a temptation to your sense of smell anymore, or even taste or touch, because you don't find it desirable. Let's say you want to gorge and you want to eat like whatever, and you smell it. You go to a place and it's right there and you're like, I can't. I don't even feel a desire for it anymore. That's really funny. My grandma must be here. She's been here. I asked her too. I asked her to stay with me. Why am I playing with my hair? I've been doing that lately. I've been self-soothing a lot. Before my grandma passed, I was talking to her a lot, and I told her to come back. I said, stay with me. I hope you always stay with me, and if you can, I hope you come back all the time. And here she is. You know why? Because she loved, that's an understatement, okay? Coca-Cola and Almond Joys. Together, even. But she loved them separate as well. Coca-Cola and Almond Joys. Those were some of her favorite things other than German chocolate cake. She loved that. And, you know, up until like the last several months of her existence on this planet, she liked them. But then she reached a point where she didn't like it anymore. It tasted awful to her. I'm talking her favorite things on the planet. She hated them. She didn't want it. She wouldn't take it. She wouldn't do it at all. I'd be like, you want a Coke, or you want a little bit of Coke? You want a little Almond Joy? You know, give the lady what she wants. She's lived a long life. She deserves it. But guess what? Her senses said no. Wow. You know, a lot of times we'll put on like altars and stuff, things for our ancestors that they loved. But what if they don't love it anymore? What if it's almost offensive? What if it's offensive because like wherever they are now, they realize that they should have never fed that sense, or they shouldn't have fed that sense, that pleasure, because it ended up not being a pleasure. It might have even ended up being their demise for some. What if it's not an honor? You know, that's just not coming to me. I think a lot. I think a whole lot. There's always these thoughts going through my mind. But really though, so yeah, you're doing great, Aries or Cross Watcher. You're doing really great. You may not always feel like you are, I'm telling you right now, but you are. I mean, just look where you came from. It's a good thing to look back. That way you can see how far you've come. You've come a long way. So, this is just keep going, you know? It's a daily thing. I mean, really. So, good job. Good job, guys. That's what we've got for this message here. Maybe this is saying that you're going to be faced with something here in the near future, whether it's a person, new or old, an object, you could say it's a temptation. It's a temptation to one of your senses or several of your senses that at one time you desired and was pleasurable for you. What are you going to do? Will you have the ability to resist it? Will you have the discernment? Only you're gonna know. Only we know. But alright guys, well, thank you for being here with me, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.